This is day 2. Peal Tower, Pilgrims Cross and Holcombe Hill. So day 2 is 7. I'm going to do Holcombe Hill today. So I'm going to do Peal Tower and Pilgrims Cross. I'm going to go up the steep route rather than the road route because I'm clearly a glutton for punishment. The stairs are a lot more corroded than last time we came. It's been clearly a lot of rainfall down them. But we'll see how we get on. I've never done Pilgrims Cross before. I didn't even know it was there till about a month ago, something like that. It's a hill I know very well. I used to live just down the road from it, so I used to be able to walk it from my front door. So just got to the next stage at path. As you can see, there is a road. There's actually a house up at the top. So this is your conventional route up that most people take. It's the easiest route. You've also got an alternative route up here. I have a funny story about that route. I'll tell you that in a minute. I'm going up that thing because I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'll tell you the story about this other path and then I will I'll film some bits of me dying on the way up the big hill. So this path down here, I've always been a bit of an avid mountain biker. I'm not the best, I'm no pro mountain biker by any means, but I used to use this trail all the time. This was a bit of a practice run, nice and local for me, and I just got myself a new Saracen mountain bike. Very proud of it I was. It was absolutely my pride and joy. I put my heart and soul into that bike, put all the parts on myself, hand built it. So cycles all the way up this path because it's the easiest path up, and don't let the video fool you, it's still pretty steep for pedalling up. So gets to the top, cycles over the top, and we're doing a loop down here. I'm about 5 miles away from my dad's house here, maybe a little bit less, maybe it might be a bit of an exaggeration, probably more like 3 miles. So I was staying at my dad's house that day, so I'd come up with my stepbrother and I was hurtling down here, and when I was a little kid this was like, I had water running down. It was exactly a waterfall, but when it was wet, I would have water down, and because of that, it corrodes a lot. So it's quite well filled in now compared to what it used to be like. If I show you the path that I've just come up, on that day, it was a lot more similar to that sort of thing. So very rutted up, big drops, and that's why I used to like riding down it, because I'd want the drop-offs, and it was a little bit more fun. So anyway, I've digressed. So comes hurtling down this hill on my brand new Saracen mountain bike I'm proud of. Gets about to where you can see that corner there, where you can't see the path anymore. And there's a big massive rut between two slabs. So I goes in thinking, I'll thread the needle through it. I'd noticed it late, so I wouldn't be able to bunny hop it. Gets my front wheel stuck in it. I'm straight over the handlebars and halfway down this hill here. Didn't get hurt because it's quite padded with all the bushes and stuff. Gets up, gets to my bike, and my wheel is bent on an angle like that, 90 degrees. No, like I said, 3 miles away from my dad's house. It's the closest port of contact I've got. We're looking, if I was 15, so about the year 2000, so mountain bikes back then weren't what they are today, so it was heavy. I'm pretty sure from what I remember as well, I had a steel frame, which to be fair I've got now, but yeah, it was a heavy bike, and the wheels are heavy, your brakes are heavy, basically it was just heavy. So I had to lump this bike up onto my shoulders because it won't wheel, front wheel's bent in half. Carries it right down the rest of the hill, and see if I can get to the view. I probably can see my dad's house from here. That little town over there, where there's the little patch of houses, pretty sure that's where it is, and it's the far side of that. I had to lump that big heavy bike on my shoulders from here right the way to there. It's downhill, but it's not an easy walk, and it sort of goes to show how much of a big part of my life this hill's been over the years. It's one of the first hills I ever climbed, and it's something I do not as frequent as I'd like. Even when I lived here, we very rarely came up, but it's a spectacular little hill, and the views off it over Manchester and stuff are incredible. You can park down at the bottom I think it's about a mile to the top, and it's steep in places, but if you follow the roadway up, it's nice and easy. Or if you want, you can do it shorter and you can come up some of these more direct routes like I'm doing today. I don't think I've ever actually done this route. I tend to go up the waterfall route. Just stop for a minute to take in the view, and I've realised that when I was telling you a little story a minute ago, I was actually wrong with where I told you my dad's house is. So we've got all this down here is Ramsbottom. All up here, this is all Holcombe Brook. Behind that, that's Summerseat over there. So go this way. You got where the road, you see the road fork up there, down at the bottom there, that's Brandlesome. I used to live down there. Farther on from Brandlesome, you can see the white building over there. That's a place called Tottington. That's where my dad lives. If you go way further on down there, that's where I used to live as a kid. That's a place called Ratcliffe. And inside all the clouds there, you can't see at the moment, but that's where the centre of Manchester is. I'm hoping that when I get to the top, it's cleared up a little bit more and I can get a bit more of a view and I can show you stuff like that a bit more. When I was on the drive up, you couldn't even see Holcombe Hill. It was all under clag, so it has cleared a bit. And even just walking up, my vision's so much clearer to see where I've got to go now. Let's carry on to the top. I'm about halfway up now, I think. I don't know if you can see, but I've just walked up. That's the path that was on before. Down at the bottom, like I said, it's fairly steep. I have had to scramble in a couple of areas, but most of it I managed on foot. The next bit seems possibly steeper. Pretty much at the top now. I don't know if you'll be able to see it over there, but Manchester is just about starting to peek out through the clouds. It is clearing up. If I don't get the best of views now, which let's face it, it's not a bad view, is it? There's a reason that I walked the way that I've just walked. It has historical significance to the tower. So the hill that I'm on, Holcombe Hill, wasn't always called this, and technically still isn't. It's actually called Harkles or Harkleys, however you pronounce it, hill. And I don't know where Holcombe Hill came from, but it's a name that everybody calls it. And I'm sure somebody will enlighten me in the comments, but yeah, it is now referred to as Holcombe Hill by most people. The tower itself, which is there, was erected in memory of Robert Peal, who was Prime Minister. He also founded the modern day police force in the UK. So he had a lot of historical significance. It was finished in 1852, which was 2 years after Sir Robert Peel's death. And on the actual front of the tower, actually says the word Peal. So over there, that's the centre of Bury. That's where Robert Peal was born. And in the centre of Bury, there's a church called St Andrew's Church. And St Andrew's Church is actually another monument which actually has a statue with Robert Peal on it. The tower points directly at it. Rumour has it, I don't know how true it is, and whether or not it's a bit of a old wives' tale, but there actually could be used as signal towers from the tops, where if you was to light a fire on the top of that, you'd actually be able to see it at Darwin Tower. How true that is anybody's guess. For me, I think it's probably not. But yeah, it's a really cool place. It's definitely worth a look. And if you come at a time when the flag's up, you can actually go inside the tower, right up to the top, and the views from there are stunning. Obviously, it's not your conventional beautiful view. There is a lot of buildings, but for me, I don't mind that. What I'll do now, I'll take you to have a little bit of a look of the tower. It's not open, so I can't take you in. And I'll take you to see the other dig site, which is the other part of why my walk was significant. Because the tower was actually built from limestone, dug out of this very hill. So as you can see, that's the secondary dig site. If I stand at the other side of it, it's a building genius in a way. Rather than in the 1900s when we didn't have the materials and the ways of carting things about like we do now, what they've actually made is they've mined the materials out literally right next to the tower. So some of you may have seen my first solo wild camping video. If you've not, go and give it a watch. Or not, it's up to you. I'm not going to make anybody do anything they don't want to. But in that video, I discussed me not particularly enjoying solo wild camping. I don't particularly like being on my own. I don't like that having no conversation, not being able to enjoy this with other people. Now, when it comes to hiking, I'm very much the opposite. I quite like that bit of solitude when I'm hiking and that ability to clear my mind. Now, my mind's a scary place. I don't like being alone with it very often, but when I go somewhere like this, it's easy to just switch off, and it's easier to do that on your own. And for me, it's the best thing about hiking midweek and coming at this sort of time, because I've seen about 3 people since I set off up, and it's fascinating to me that nobody's out. It's brilliant. It reminds me of the pre-COVID days, and don't get me wrong, COVID did a wonderful thing for getting people out of the houses and getting people out hiking, and the world should do more of this because we've got all this beauty that people fought for to try and get us access to. But sometimes it really does me head in when I'm trying to get a nice peaceful hike and it's a Saturday or a Sunday and there's 70 people up at the top of every hill. There's other people's kids running around screaming and shouting. There's litter everywhere. There's other people's dogs barking. You can't get any decent footage. You can't get any nice photos, and it drives me mad. So coming midweek, it's just lovely. It's great just being on my own. It's lovely being able to take my own pace, do things as I want, potentially scout out some camping spots and just enjoy the world. I don't know who you are, but whoever's put these rocks in here, you are an absolute legend. Like I said, I've been coming up to this hill for probably 35 years. And every time you get to that bit, you have to jump over it. And it's thick, smelly, horrible bulk of the water down at the bottom of that. And I've seen numerous people fall in it. Luckily, touch wood, never myself. But yeah, it's a nice little touch adding them rocks so people can get across. Although I did just nearly fall flat. I was on the wrong side of the camera then. So I'm now at the summit of what I was always told was Holcombe Hill. Holcombe Hill is just that way. That way. That's where you should be able to see Peal Tower still. And as growing up, we were always taught that that was Holcombe Hill, this was Holcombe Hill. I don't know if that's ever been officially changed, but I'm at the summit of what is Holcombe Hill. I'm actually sat on top of the cairn stones at the moment. I'll add a stone to that in a minute, and I'm going to show you the wonderful views because you get 360 views from the top of here. I'm about halfway to Pilgrim's Cross. I think I've actually been there before, looking at the route that it's taking me, but we'll see. But I'm still on paths that are quite well known to me at the moment, so that's good. It's fairly dry, which surprises me because usually between this peak and where Peal Tower is, it's usually like walking through a bog, so that's promising. Still scouting some wild camping spots because it's somewhere I really, really want to do because it's got so much history to me and so much about my childhood. And it's like I said, it's somewhere I've never camped, which is bizarre. Even when I lived up here, I'd get in the car somewhere and go and camp, and I never ever came up here. I've stayed up here awake all night and watched the sunset and the sunrise and filmed that, but never actually camped. So definitely on the cards. It's just finding a spot that I want because it is quite populated up here. There's a house that is literally, you could probably spit in it from Peal Tower, it's that close to it. And just down this way, just at the bottom of where I am, I'm probably not even half a mile away from Peal Tower where I am, or maybe about half a mile. But just below me, about 200 yards below me at the base of this hill, there's also another house, and I know that there's actually a road that runs across. It's like a really dug up farm road, and I know that because I used to ride my bike that way. And I know there's a good 3 or 4 other houses that are further down. So I think if I was to find a camping spot, I'd want to go more towards the back of me. But the issue with there is that's where the army barracks are. It's where the old Krypton Factor course is, and they do a lot of rifle practices and stuff. So I'd have to be mindful of red flags and stuff if I was doing that. But I will find a spot, and I will get a camp up here, and that's if it's the last thing I do. So that being said, I'll share you some views now, and then we're off in that direction. That's our next hill that we've got to hit, and I think on top of that is where Pilgrims crosses. The helicopter, which brilliantly has just appeared at the right time. It's been coming backwards and forwards for about at least the last half hour. You can actually see at the bottom of it. So I was just speaking to another man. He's doing the same route I am, but the opposite way around. And he was telling me that they're bringing rocks up to the top from the army barracks. Now, I couldn't see the winch on it before, but I'm a lot closer to where the helicopter is now, and you can actually see the winch. I'm hoping it'll show up on camera, but you can see the winch at the bottom of the rocks underneath. So I don't know where they're taking it, possibly to Pilgrim's Cross, because I'm still not quite there yet. So we will see. But yeah, bit of extra entertainment. Fills in nicely after day one yesterday at Barton Airport, I suppose. So if we get any closer footage of the helicopter, I'll include some helicopter footage in there as well. So, turns out I was a lot closer to Pilgrim's Cross than I thought I was. So I was actually, when I filmed the last bit, just on them stones there. So, I hadn't even seen it. Like I said, it's not somewhere I've been before. I thought I possibly had, but I'd actually only been to the top of the hill where you can see Holcombe Hill poking out the top. I'd never actually ventured this far over. There does seem to be a lot more. I need to come and explore it more at some stage. But yeah, the cross is not a cross. I've learnt something from the cross. So apparently Holcombe Hill's name derives from Holcombe Forest. Who'd have thought it? Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, it turns out that's where it's from. Like I said before, this is where the military barracks are. You can see the flags are down, so I can enter. I'm not going forward anyway into it, but I am going through where they do the practice firing. I really, really like the footpath sign. It tells me exactly where everything is. If you come up and get lost, I'm sure that's going to be really useful to you. Don't think I'll be taking that footpath. As you can see from the footpaths, it was famous last words, what I said before about not being caught in the mud and how dry it was, because down this side, very wet, very boggy. Taking a little bit of a detour at the moment. Luckily, I've just watched some dog walkers come up, so I'm kind of following the path that they've just took. Hopefully, should be able to get you a bit more helicopter footage from this area as well. It seems to be a lot closer from this side, which makes sense, seeing as it's coming from the barracks, and I'm at the barracks side. I've well and truly jinxed myself with everything. So I mentioned about liking the solitude, camping during the week, coming on my own. And then coming up this way behind me, there's a huge group of, there must be 40 people. So yeah, madness. Since I said that, I've done nothing but bump into people. But it's still better than weekend when it's proper rammed. This has been Holcombe Hill, or Harkles Hill, whichever way you perceive it. We've done Pilgrims Cross and Peal Tower. It's another short one, only day 2. I think it'll probably, after all my detours and moving backwards and forwards from filming, be probably 4.5 miles. But I just want to emphasise, like I always do, trying to inspire people. And it's not the length of your walk. You don't have to be doing 10 miles, 20 miles, 15 miles. You just need to get out. Go somewhere that sparks your interest and inspires you, and just makes you want to be outside, want to exercise and want to enjoy life. And this is, if you do it the way that I mapped it out, little over a 3-mile walk, and you do 3 separate hills, 2 points of interest, 2 separate cairnstones. You get to see the army barracks, which are not that clear today. You get all the views over Manchester. If you come to this side, if you look, it's a lot clearer. There's actually nicer views at this side. And even over here, that's all over Bolton. That direction that you can see there, that's Winter Hill. It's a beautiful little walk and a beautiful little round trip. And like I said, you can do it in as little as 3 miles. You don't even need to do everything I've done. Hike up just to like the Peal Tower and back down. It's probably 1.5 miles, maybe even just 1 mile as a round trip. But it gets you out, gets you some fresh air, and makes you enjoy life. Even today, I don't know if it's these barefoot shoes or if it's because I've not been getting out, but it could even just be that I climbed up that stupid steep hill. But I got to Peal Tower and my back was crippling me. And it's still twinging a little bit now. And I second guessed whether or not I wanted to do the 3 remaining miles of this walk. And I pushed myself and I thought, you know what, yeah I do. Because I wanted to go and see something I'd not seen before. That's what I set out to do. I wasn't judging the fact I had to do 2 extra hills, because I'd not planned for that. But I did it. And I'm out. And you know what, I've really loved it. I've got a smile on my face again. And I didn't even want to come out today. The reason I set myself this challenge this week was because I'm not getting out. Like I've said before, my mental health took over. I'm not going into that because I know not too many people like them discussions, but it has. And that's meant I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to continue eating healthy. And that's all a battle. But by setting myself this challenge, I can't fail. I can't see myself fail. So I've set myself the challenge that I want to be out these 7 days. And I'll do it if it kills me. And I'm not saying I'm going to do all 7 walks I've planned, because if I'm too sore or I can't do it, then I'll do something shorter. But I'll still get out, still going to do it. And look at it. I could have sat at home all day today watching TV, eating packets of crisp and bars of chocolate and sweets and other rubbish. Or I could come out with a bottle of water and this. And I tell you what, right, if you'd asked me this morning which I prefer, I'd have been all up in them bags of crisp. If you ask me now, with 1/2 mile left to go to the car, why would I even want them crisps? So, that being said, I can't think of a better time to finish day 2. Thank you again for joining me. I'm going to post one long video, hopefully, unless it's too long, with all 7 days in it. Or if you prefer to see it broken down, I'm going to do 7 separate weeks, posting 1 extra video a week with each one, starting with day 1, ending with day 7. The choice is yours, but thank you for joining me again. Please consider subscribing. Drop me a like, drop a comment down below, and let me know. What do you do when you don't want to get up in the morning? Or if you don't want to get out of bed, what do you do? With that being said and done, as you can see, I'm back at Peal Tower. I've just got a short walk down. It's the roadway, so I'll spare you that bit. And I will catch you next week. But for me, I'll see you tomorrow in a bit.